Good morning, everyone. Treasure Troller here. Welcome to another edition of Small Town Murders, not the podcast. Today we are in Holland, Michigan, and we're going to talk about the 50-year-old unsolved murder of Shelly Mills. Now, Shelley was married here August 29th, 1970. She was a mere 19 years old. She graduated the year prior, 1969. She met her husband, Bill, that next summer, or actually that summer of 1969. And August 29th, 1970, Bill and Shelley were married here at this church. The honeymoon lasted one night because Bill was a school teacher and he had some commitments that next week at school. So, after spending the night at the nearby Holiday Inn in Spring Lake, Bill and Shelley came back home, packed up their stuff, and started to head for their new marital home, residence if you will, in Grand Rapids. So after their very brief honeymoon, Shelley and Bill began to take residence here in Grand Rapids on College Avenue Northeast. It was in that brown building right there. And on September 15th, Bill left for work at Lowell Public Schools, maybe a 20-minute drive from here. And later on that morning, Shelley's mother was going to come over and they were going to have lunch together, and I believe see her grandmother. Reports in the paper differ a little bit, but anyways, according to Shelley's mother, she came over to the house and she tried to get into the back door, and no one was there. Shelley wasn't answering or coming to the door. So she went around to the front of the house and came in through the brown door there. She came in through that door right there, and she found Shelley on the kitchen floor in a pool of blood. And according to the coroner's report, she had suffered over 30 stab wounds. Very few were to her torso. She had over 30. She had a majority of the stab wounds in the neck area. They were very shallow in depth. She only had one stab wound that was 4 inches. The rest were very shallow, in between like 1.5 inches and 1.25 inches. And no arteries were severed. The jugular vein was severed, but because no major arteries were hit, the coroner labeled the cause of death as loss of blood. And they had also said because no major arteries were hit from the time of the attack until Shelley would have been dead, it would have been minutes. It would have been very, very difficult or a rather long suffering death. In less than 1 month, the same people that were here on the 29th in celebration of the marriage were back here around September 20th for the memorial service of Shelly Mills. So there were several polygraph tests administered. A lot of people were interviewed, but no one was a clear suspect. Maybe for a couple of reasons that got things going a little bit off track, or definitely made things a lot more difficult. Shelley's murder actually started a string of murders, or murders that were similar, had similar injuries in the Heritage Hills area. And so the police really didn't know if they were looking for a serial killer or, multiple killers. Something else that makes it a little bit difficult is Heritage Hills, that section anyways, at that time was a very transient area, and not in a bad way, but you have 3 colleges in that general vicinity of Kendall School in Design, Grand Rapids Community College, and Aquinas College. So a lot of those places were rentals. So you had people going in and out of that area all the time. Not to mention it's right near downtown Grand Rapids. So, like I said, it's been a little over 50 years. The case has not been solved. This is Shelley's final resting place. I'm sorry I can't get the grave. They're ground level, they're frozen over. So even getting the snow away from them, there's ice that has formed, and they're just unreadable. So she would be in this area right here. So that is the unsolved murder of a bride of 3 weeks, Shelly Mills. This is Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.